Tango 1 at the top. We are at pop-up vehicle. 10-4, Tango 1. You have control. Tango 1 copy. Stand by. Stand by.
Integrity, passion, resilience. That's what this place was built on. That's what our community is founded on. Don't act like the example, just be the example. This is the home of the greatest fitness community in the world. We're trying to create strong, able bodies, resilient to injury with a gas tank to get shit done. If there's one thing from this podcast, it's about taking immediate action, find the problem, fix the problem. This is your opportunity. It's either a hell yes or a fuck no. It's that simple. You're doing that. The Tango 1 podcast. Now is the time to take action. Now's the time to do more and be more.
All right, we're ready to roll.
Do you normally talk with things in your mouth?
Oh, wow, starting off hot today. Starting off hot. All right, welcome to the Tango 1 podcast. I'm Tony Smith. You guys know me as the host of this podcast. Always here to encourage you guys to take action on your weaknesses and to do more for others and be more for yourself. Today, I'm joined. My co-host is going to be, you've been hearing her lots more on the show, and she's been doing a killer job, so I keep wanting her to come back. It's my wife, Dani Smith, who just accused me of talking with things in my mouth too often, of course. So anyways, welcome to the show, babe. Ready to roll?
Well, thanks. Yeah, I just put my Face ID on this phone, and it keeps locking and unlocking, so
Yes.
bear with me.
So before we got on, you would have heard me say you're going to do this podcast off your phone. Great. And here we are, already one issue. But anyways, that's just, so maybe we can just roll right into some of the first questions because they cover these types of things. So we had, we shot out a bunch of messages or a poll out to all of our listeners, and we got a ton of feedback on questions and topics you guys want to hear and want us to cover about, ranging from all kinds, a wide variety of things. So many questions and so many actually great questions. We might make this a 2-part episode. And our friends at HQ Nutrition that you just heard me pop their HQ focus, you can go to that website, use code TANGO15. But everybody whose question gets read in, we are going to send you a HQ shaker cup and a bunch of sample packs to try out the goods and enjoy. So here we go. Let's get rolling. You ready to go?
I'm so ready.
You're so ready. You look so ready. Make sure you like speak. Is she speaking loud enough for her? I gotta give her shit for this or no? We're good. Okay. Ready to roll?
Yep.
Okay. Let's go. So this first one comes in. We'll just roll with this first question. I like this one right here. How do two sting-minded individuals, this one comes from Sean LeBlanc Real Estate Team, who just hosted a great event here, an Easter event here today, but how do two sting-minded people stay happy in a marriage and work through a fight? As you guys hear us bicker a little bit. One, I'm not sure if that was a typo, Sean, sting, but I'm going to just go that like we're like sharp maybe is what it means. I don't know. So anyways, I'm gonna hope that's a compliment, but how do we stay happy in a marriage and work through a fight? So, you want to start? Are you happy? We're putting on. Thanks, Sean.
Next question.
Yeah, carry on. Okay.
No, I think that you and I are very different in a lot of ways, and I think that plays to our advantages because I feel like if we were both like me or we were both like you, maybe things would look a little bit different. I know some couples that works for them, but for us, I think that because we see things differently, that certainly leads to some conversations, but I think that it makes each of us realize a different point of view.
Yeah, we honestly, like, you guys hear us bicker on here a little bit and rip on each other, but we really don't fight that often. It's pretty rare for us to actually get into any kind of argument that lasts any kind of significant amount of time. I think we're pretty good at saying, like, what are we even fighting over? This is stupid. Let's just redo this and start fresh with hey, let's start with a good morning. How you doing? And I mean, yeah, I guess I gotta agree with you on the if we were the same kind of people, we'd have problems because I don't know, maybe you want all the babies and I want to do the other stuff that makes the babies, so it's like, it's a good we would be in a real bad spot if we were the same, because we'd either have all the babies or none of them. I don't know, but it's But I think for business wise and then being in here, this has not been an issue whatsoever for us really being in the business together. It's actually worked pretty smoothly from day one. I think it does have to do with like how chilled out you are and understanding with me and the way I am, and then me also like understanding that you're not going to be always going at that pace that I kind of hold myself to, and it's just that it balances pretty well. So
yeah, I think that, and it's funny when we hear like the kids will say like, "Are you guys arguing?" And it's like, no, we're just having a discussion or a conversation. It's very rarely an argument.
Yeah, they get shocked by it, right?
Yeah.
Even when it's like something we're actually being sarcastic to each other about who was the better at speaking French, and the kids thought that this was
That's for another question.
This big argument. It is?
Yeah.
Oh, well, whatever. Okay. Anyways, we cover 2 questions at once. Why don't you roll right into that question then, babe? Go.
So that question comes to us from Michael DeFazio. And he says, do you guys ever compete with each other? And that was one of the things that came to mind was that French speaking conversation that we had where you seemed very upset and were trying to determine who was the better French speaker from our high school education certificates.
Right, yeah, like we don't really compete, like we don't like actually get out board games and try to kill each other or like, you know, really do much of that stuff. But we do have like funny competitions, like I guess like made up competitions. So first of all, shout out to Mike D. We love that guy and the energy he brings, an avid listener, so we appreciate the support. But I think another funny one we've got going on is who would win in a ice skating race.
Yes.
I think
this has been going
after
on
you've
for
seen
10
me skate
years.
this winter, though, that you can finally say that.
Confirmed.
Oh my God, guys, listen.
Confirmed.
I am not the best skater. However, I can skate, and I'm
Physically,
powerful and fast.
You can.
I am fast. I'm a fast man.
Skates,
Irvin, I could beat half the guys on your high school team still in a sprint, guarantee.
That's on shoes.
I know, but the same power.
Not
this
same.
is ridiculous. This is what happens, because anyways. So our families want to see this happen. I know like Steve and Val, Kira and Josh want to really make this like race happen. Ryan and Tanya, a lot of our friends. I think we could like maybe that is what we should do for a charity. Me and you race.
But
didn't
we figure out already that if we did that for a race, there's no way that you would actually technically win, because one, if you actually won, which you wouldn't, great job. You beat your wife at a skating competition. Okay. But if you lost, then you lose significantly. So I don't know that there's really a win to this.
Well, listen,
except for me.
All I know is I'm winning as long as it's only a straight race. No turning, no stopping. Okay, no turning, no stopping. I've got that. I've got this. So thank you for the question, Mike. But yeah, the answer is like we don't compete in many things, but we do love to have these like made up imaginary competitions that might never happen. I feel like kind of playing footsies with me. It's my new. I got my mugs on, guys. My man Uggs, and I think she's just kind of getting fired up over it, maybe. So, anyways, next question. Let's go. This one, Liz Scott. We got to throw Liz in here because she is on every Q&A episode. So thank you, Liz. I know you listen to every episode, and I know you in particular have already enjoyed this episode since Dani has made fun of me consistently. So Liz asks, what is on your bucket list as a family, business, etc.? So
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this one would be my personal bucket list as our family. This goes to another question we have too, but is to take the family on a safari. That is like my bucket list. It's been my bucket list since I was a kid, and not like these like, you know, fruhaha safaris where you're like getting fanned and like people are carrying you around. Like I want to be like out there getting like, you know, roughing it, more like the traveling that we used to do once the kids are big enough to not be like stalked by lions at all hours. But yeah, that's my bucket list for our family. As far as business, I mean, I think we're living it every day. We're just happy that we get to spend tons of time with our family because of the business we've built and the garage gym army that supports that business.
You really don't feel like you would like to be fanned in the jungle?
I would
or
like to be
on a
fanned,
safari
like,
and
by
fed
the
grapes.
pool in Vegas. Like, I don't want to be fanned in the jungle particularly. Like, like I want to,
I just feel like you exhibit that bouginess a lot, and I feel like
I'm
that.
bad and bougie, Herb. There's no. What are you laughing at back there? So yes, I am bad bougie, but I don't want to be fanned in the jungle. I want to be fanned in a whole lot of places that we won't talk about on the air, right? Like everybody knows me. Everybody knows I like nice things. I like to do nice things. I like to feel nice. Anyways, carry on. Next question. What do you got, Dani? What do you got on your side there?
For bucket list?
Yeah, or just go on to the next question, whatever you want.
Well, I would say number one bucket list for my family would be to go on either a trip that Tony and I had done before, similar to backpacking or Hawaii, something that's I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, so that would probably be my number one bucket list.
But again, we're talking like real Hawaii, not like being pampered on the beach of Waikiki, right?
I like all of it.
We want to get in there. Yeah, we enjoy like a night or two. You know what, guys? We enjoy a night or two in a real nice place, and then we like to like get in there wherever we're visiting and like get in there, like really get after it and go and do some adventures, things that like normal travel doesn't really, talk about.
Yeah, find local spots and maybe stay in like a hostel or a smaller place to fend for yourself a little bit.
Camping, Airbnbs, like that's our style.
Yeah, so just incorporating more of that, whether it I think that part of the bucket list too, and what we're trying to do with our family and our business is to obviously time is currency. So for us, we like to make more time. It's not always about making more money, it's about making more time. And I think that in itself is kind of like the bucket list dream of creating that for the family and making sure that we have spent all the time that we can while we can with our little guys as they grow up, and so that they want to hang out with us later when they're bigger.
Yeah, for sure. And Christy Melko, that answers your question. If we're looking to travel more, will business and ourselves personally continue to thrive? I mean, business is doing very well. I don't know that we're thriving right now. We're doing much better, and we're very happy with but we've invested a ton into this business right now, and that's where we need some other avenues of our business to thrive. And 100%, when we get to where we need to be, travel and these things you're hearing on the bucket list, like you guys know, when we say we want to do something, like usually we're 5 steps towards it already. And that's kind of like where we want to be with the travel plans and all these things, as long as they stop us from not, maybe they remove their restrictions, and those of us without the jab can still live our lives normally, hopefully. Let's not get into that.
Next question. Okay, so let's go to something for you from a TAC Life member. How do you bring awareness to a bad leader? And this person apparently will not take any kind of criticism if it's a direct criticism.
Ooh, that's a hot one. That's why we didn't name this guy. Hey, I'll say it's a guy. At least I know it's a guy. But yeah, man, bringing awareness. So I was actually just talking about this at one of my tactical reload clinics that we were running yesterday at a real good business, and we were talking about the need to manage up. And managing up is like a serious skill. Like, I know here it happens all the time. I see it with Jacqueline and Joe and you. You guys are always managing up and handling me. But now when you get into bad leadership, poor leadership, I'm hoping that that's not me. But when you get into poor leadership above you, it is such a problem. So
imagine this question was about you.
Oh yeah, imagine this is like a trick one. Yeah. So when you're talking about bringing awareness to a bad leader, first thing I'm going to do is control what I can. So the people being the example. Remember, leadership does not require rank. So if you are not a rank certified leader, and you want to be the leader to those people and peers around you. So by staying positive and doing all the things that you think a good leader should do is the first step, setting the example yourself and hoping that they notice it. Right. The other thing is shielding the people around you. I know when I was working for the police department, we had, I was the team leader, I had a sergeant, or a staff sergeant, and oftentimes above the sergeant rank, I always had great sergeants. Most probably had good staff sergeants, but sometimes we had some real bad leaders above us. And I tried to spend as little bit of time worrying about them and way more time worrying about us. And focusing on that really makes it kind of negligible what's happening above you. Like if you're just focused on what you can do and what everybody else can do around you, it's the best strategy. Now, when it comes to bringing awareness to that, I honestly think direct is the only way to go, because I don't know that you could just hint your way in there. Will they accept it? No, I'm saying go in very respectful, and maybe even try a strategy you can try that's maybe a little bit less direct is, you read about crisis negotiation and the things that I used to learn when we were doing crisis negotiation. If you want to Split the Difference is a great book if you want to read some of these things, but making them believe that it's their own idea, their own strategy that they're implementing, saying like, hey, I'm noticing this and this and this. What do you think we could do to fix it? And maybe you can then hint them towards the right avenue. So that would be my advice, is to go in super respectful, try to be clear. If that's not working, try to make it their idea. If you make something the other person's idea, that's the best way to win any negotiation. And that's essentially what it is, whether you're closing a sale, talking to a leader, or talking somebody off the ledge.
And then ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
Yeah.
You have to just do something without perhaps their.
Yeah, I'm a big forgiveness asker. Usually I'm already done what I think you're gonna do, and that's how it goes from there. So let's go on to another one. I got a good one for you here, Danny. We'll hit a little it's something nutrition based. I know we had a few nutrition based questions come in. Where's that one from Steven Ingrata? Steven Ingrata, another Tack Life guy. You guys saw him on my Instagram. What a crazy transformation this guy's had over the last year and a half. Just super proud of you, Steve, if you are listening. Hope you are, because you're going to win a cup. Steve Ingrata asks, what do you think about periodic increases and decreases in your calorie intake to improve metabolism? So let's case study. Let's instead of saying a generic answer, maybe let's go for Steve specifically. We know Steve is going to be a guy just a little bit older than me, who's had some very major gains or losses, however you want to look at it. He's gained a lot of muscle and lost a lot of fat over the last year and a half. So for him, what do you think?
Well,
or somebody like Steve.
When it comes to metabolism, you have to train your body to do what you want it to do, or to at least do what would be ideal for your body type. So doing things and changing things up all the time can be helpful in kind of a small period of time, but that depends on a lot of things like, are you off the couch? Have you tried anything before? Have you been a yo-yo dieter? So with Steve, I know that he has gained a lot of muscle and lost a lot of weight. What I would encourage him to do is find something that seems to work for him for now and continue doing it for at least a length of time, maybe like 3 months, see how his body responds, and then consider doing something else. So not necessarily going for something and then chasing the shiny ball the next week and then chasing the shiny ball for the next week. Find something, stick with it for a period of time, and then you can kind of change things up. Maybe change your program a little bit too at the same time. So if you're going to change the way, let's say you're on a deficit for 6 weeks, and then you're coming out of it and you want to continue to build muscle and lose fat. You might be able to increase those calories. It all depends on where your body is at that point. So not changing things too fast. And then once you kind of have a good base for that, or a foundation, like Tony, you have a good base of muscle and you have a good base of being lean. It's pretty. I knew I shouldn't have gone there, but
yeah, I do, Irv. Yeah, I do.
You've had success with changing things week to week, but that's because you have that foundation. So your body is a little bit more adept to changing and rolling with the punches. Whereas if someone doesn't have that foundation, they might struggle, and they might also struggle with being able to get to the proper proportions and changing them up if you're kind of new to it too. So what I would recommend for people, especially like for someone like Steve, would be find something that's working for you for a period of time, stick with it, be consistent, be persistent. Then if you're going maybe, a couple months in, then you can flip-flop and change something for another period of time. That seems to work for the most part, like I said, for someone who maybe doesn't have that foundation just yet.
Yeah, so I think like one things that you guys should understand about Steve, we talked about a situation, like as far as like who he is or what he's made up of at this point, and I think for Steve, it's like he's been lifting weights, he's been doing all the right things, and this kind of rolls us into another thing, because I think a lot of people who are now looking to improve metabolism kind of think about where does their head go right away. It doesn't go to lifting weights, it goes to cardio. So this question's coming in from Kiwi, who worked for us forever. Kiwi, you don't get a fucking cut, man, because you had a job for 2 years and I gave you a reference that got you onto the police department.
Yes, he does.
So, what do you mean? What do you were just spending freely today?
Kieran is...
So anyway, Kiwi has a cardio question. I know Kiwi is not one who's shying away from lifting weights, but this is something that's probably on a lot of people's minds if you're talking about, transforming or improving metabolism. Is Kiwi says, what do you think is best, HIIT or zone 2 cardio? So maybe first of all, if you could help us with just the briefing on what zone 2 kind of is for anybody who doesn't really know.
So zone 2 is going to be something that is something you can sustain for longer than if you were to juxtapose that with HIIT training. So it's not going to be intervals. It's going to be something that is like 65-75% of your max, and something that you could do for a period of time. So it's not a max certainly, but it's also not a RPE2.
Right. And HIIT's
going to be like high intensity and like 10 out of 10 intensity with some total shutdown rest. So high intensity, 10 out of 10, shut down, like nothing rest, and then continue on to make those into intervals. So
here's kind of my big broad answer on this is, for me, which is best? It always depends, right, on your programming, on what you did the rest of the week, the rest of the month, what you're eating. But for me, zone 2, if you're going to speak in generalities, is the best, because I'm going to be using zone 2 all the time. Like zone 2 is just really good for your heart. It's really good to get you moving. It's not going to be high cost in terms of it's going to beat up your joints. And if you think about anything in fitness, like lifting weights at a maximal level, okay, whether that's Olympic weightlifting, which is, is even going to further that risk, or more general powerlifting like we do here, lifting weights at a maximal is going to be very taxing on CNS. It's going to beat up your joints. And we want to imagine that as the peak of a pyramid. So we want to just spend a little bit of time at that peak, and the rest of our time, the majority of the rest of our time, I should say, we want to spend kind of in a zone 2, whether that's for lifting or for cardio, because we're like filling more sand into the bottom of that pyramid, which is only going to make the peak go higher. So I like to spend a ton of time in zone 2, now being in my 40s, and I know Kiwi, you're still young, you're in your 30s, but you are wearing that gun belt all the time. So,
dad bod, though.
and you got the dad, right? You're the dad now. Honestly, I have more gains, or like in terms of aesthetics and how I felt, by almost tripling my zone 2 amount of time by just going on walks all the time wearing a vest, and not adding that to my work, actually replacing a lot of the HIIT. So a lot of the stuff we do in here that's like high intensity, and you got to realize people come in here on all different days, so they kind of need the high intensity to be spread out a little bit. But by reducing my high intensity workouts, so a lot of times we come in on a workout like today I gave it my all, but on an FYF like today, when I jump into my turn on the skier, I'm not going to go max. I'm going to go at like a 70%, and I'm going to turn that workout into something very beneficial to me. Whereas the CNS, especially when you're trying to stay healthy, you're working shift work, you're trying to eat, you're trying to manage a family life, go to court, all that nonsense you got to do as a cop. Spending more time in zone 2 and not taxing yourself further is best. I like to just go heavy in 2 hits, maybe 3-4 tops in the whole month, but usually it's 2 to 3. That's it. So long-winded answer, but I hope that helps everybody.
And I think too, like you hit on it, with someone who has a job that is already increasing levels of stress. So let's say you're a shift worker, that's hyper stress, and it's not stuff that maybe you feel, but it is present, and your circadian rhythm is like through the roof. It's completely upside down. You have maybe a baby at home, you are trying to work out, like all of that stress, and then you're basically putting yourself into a purposeful, stressful situation is just havoc on your hormones. So being able, like Tony said, to be in that position where you can fill the base and fill the foundation with things that are going to be kinder to you is going to help you out in the long run.
Yeah, agree totally. So let's shift. We're talking about training a little bit. Let's do one from your good friend, the Red, Kira here. So she's got a great question.
I just want to say, stay mild.
Sierra, stay mild. Okay, so Sierra, when we're talking about mind-muscle connection is what she wants to know about. How do you do it? But also I want to get more into the second part of this. So I'll handle kind of the reps. What do you think about mind-muscle connection? I think for a guy who's like me, who's super tight and been lifting a long time, maybe I take this for granted. It is very important, but maybe I take how I get there. I just expect people to be able to do it maybe a little bit too easy. So maybe let's have you kind of field that one if you don't mind.
I love mind-muscle connection and really focusing, because we were talking about this the other day about you could do a set of body weight exercise. So body weight push-ups, body weight squats, something along those lines, and really concentrate on feeling your body and what should be moving at that time. And you can slow it down, and you can tax your body way more than you think, than just by like banging out 10 push-ups or banging out 10 squats, and one, letting go of that tension, two, putting miles on your joints. But to me, that is where I will get a workout in that feels amazing after. So you don't feel like you just ran your machine with like no fuel. You actually feel better after your workout, because you can feel that, not that you can feel that pump, but you kind of can.
Yeah. So, and then the second part to her question, is it better to do less reps slowly or more reps faster? So circumstances could certainly dictate this to be differently. When we were in COVID and people had been now locked in for six months and had to use the same 25-pound dumbbell, moving that dumbbell very slowly with tons of connection was just another way to kind of break the adaptation that was happening to people being at home, moving like body weight movements and constantly. Because when people switched to that body weight movement at the start of COVID, people were having crazy results with like literally a couple of light dumbbells and some body weights. At a certain point, we need to switch up that what the body's feeling and break that adaptation and move on. So, but when we're talking mostly in the gym with like access to everything, I would say like instead of less reps slowly or more reps faster, think about it in resistance. So typically I want to move lighter weights faster. I want to move lightweight fast. I want to work on my speed strength, right? Which is going to then translate over when now I get more resistance. I actually still want to move heavy weight fast. However, and for all you trolls out there, they're going to send me internet things saying that this isn't right? I mean by still keeping your form and keeping things tight, not overextending, etc., right? But I want to move that heavy weight fast. It's just the actual load of the weight is going to slow that down. So when I step behind a bar at, say, 500 pounds in a deadlift, I want to drive off the floor, push my feet through the floor, pop my hips forward as fast as I can to get that weight moving. It will just look ridiculously slow because the load is very heavy for me. Not for everybody, right? Of those people who are monsters that we've seen, but when I'm going to work on a dynamic effort day like we like to use, and I'm wearing my West Side Barbell shirt, lost Louis a couple weeks ago, right? But we want to move those light weights fast so that we can train our body to do so. So more reps faster. Yikes. Yikes.
We are not going to ask any questions about that.
Yes, no. More reps faster. It's just not really a thing we apply here. Sometimes we do, on a banded push down or something, we'll pop out a bunch of weights reps fast. But that's kind of the same idea as the load. So think about load rather than the reps. And generally here, we like to keep our reps low and the weights high for main movements. And now we're going right back to that pyramid we talked about earlier, moving those ones for, 10%. of our time, I guess, of our fitness and our training program, and then moving lighter weights and accessory movements, single joint movements for more reps, but still with control, not necessarily speed. Killed that one.
Yep.
Boom.
Nailed it.
All right, what do you got?
Hang on.
I gotta unlock my phone.
All right, let's go with. Okay, this one's for you. From Katie McAvoy. Also, Katie, I happen to have a friend who sent me a picture of your bumper sticker. This bumper sticker said, "Caution makes many stops at your mom's house."
This is Katie's bumper sticker. Yes. Oh my god!
So I love it.
Calm your tits. That was Riley's bomb
Yeah, I love it.
bomb sticker that she had there, and they got that for you as your keychain. Anyways,
okay,
good for you, Katie. We love you.
Katie asked Tony, "How have some failures, any failures in life, made you become you?"
Okay, yeah, I think she's like what was about the failures. So what are the failures in life and how they made you become you? So I talked about this yesterday again with one of these businesses, or this week with one of the businesses, and we talked about why we move forward here at the Garage Gym. And I think that's kind of what I've taken from the past life is we'd be on a mission and, something fucks up. We have to go forward. We can't dwell on, you didn't do this right, or how it was drawn up on the board. It's too late. It already happened. So don't do it again. And then do what's right and keep moving forward. So here in the gym, like we don't spend, and in my life now, I don't spend much time on what we did wrong. So at the end of any operation in SWAT, or at the end of any police call, or at the anything we do at the Garage Gym, or anything we do in the charity work, we debrief it. We talk about it. What went right, what went wrong. The stuff that went wrong, yeah, we do want to say, like, how did that happen? Or what were you thinking there? Or, those kind of questions we want to ask ourselves. Let's see if we can get a train of thought to make sure that the people, and myself included, are, on the right mind frame to make the right mindset to make the proper decisions for when this comes about again. However, what we did wrong, we just ignore it. Basically, like after that point, it's like discard it and really focus on what went right at that moment. Because what went right is what we want to repeat. So spending a lot of time on what went wrong doesn't get you forward. So spend a very little time, understand what went wrong, be accountable for what went wrong, work on whatever went wrong and how you could fix it. But then after that, discard it and focus on doing the good things over and over repeatedly. The more you do that, the less bad things are happening, the more you're repeating good things. And that's how success kind of happens. That's how you move forward. Discard, add another good habit. Discard, add another good habit. So always get rid of the bad, replace it with the good, and go forward. And that, I think, has been become whatever that means is how they become you. And I think what she means there is just positive. And, success is arbitrary. But I think success for us is happiness. And I've got that, right? So that's it, Katie. So whatever you messed up with yesterday, think about it a little bit and then move on and add a better habit in. So good question. I got one for you. So this is a popular one that comes in quite often. So let's get it here. So Patty Casabon. Patty, thank you for your question. I was just chirping Patty this morning. She was drinking a mimosa after the Easter festival. So Dani, can you suggest whole foods or tricks, I guess, or methods, strategies to getting picky eaters to eat them, which she's referring to kids there. Yeah. So we got kids. We want to get them eating whole foods, and they're picky eaters. Do you have strategies or go-to kind of foods to do? I don't know. Anyways, keep going. You know what I'm asking.
Yeah, the kid thing is a big issue for a lot of people, and I had never tricked my kids with foods. Like I made foods when
just
they were
hot
little.
Sauce. Just the hot sauce. That's me mostly.
I don't.
It's hilarious.
I don't give the kids hot sauce.
No, I love it.
But so nutrition's always been important to me. Not always, but in the most recent past. And but specifically when I was pregnant and had kids. So to me, I've always been thinking about how this scenario is going to play out and how to get the kids to eat the healthiest that we can. So with foods that we've fed them, we've always just fed them what we eat. Now, that's not easy to get someone who already has kids of a certain age to just all of a sudden say, well, you're eating what we're eating, because you've had your kid grow up in your home for, let's say, 9 years, for instance, and all of a sudden you're gonna stop making them the extra meal, or you're gonna stop letting them eat things that you know are not the most healthy, and you're just gonna like kind of create this dictatorship of meals. It's just they're gonna push back. And so it's not very reasonable to think that your kids are just gonna get on board with it and be like, oh yes, I would love some more green veggies and more chicken, right? So a couple things that I think work the best, and I do this with not only food but other scenarios, are one, give them ownership of the situation. So if you're gonna go to the grocery store, most of the time my kids are with me, let them pick the food. So if you're in the vegetable aisle or if you're in the fruit aisle, if your kid asks for something in that aisle, yes. Like, why would you say, no, we can't get that today, we're gonna get something else? If it's a whole food, yes, we're getting it, you're gonna eat it, great, we're gonna try it. Even if it's something that they aren't sure about, let's try it, right? So I think that is one strategy that works the best for them, because they think that they're the one in charge and they're the one who's picking the foods, and that encouragement, it creates that willingness to try different things. Number two is, if your kids don't go to the grocery store with you, have them write out a list. So give them an idea of what you mean by maybe meats, vegetables, like make a list of all those things, and then have them write down their favorite foods, their favorite ways of having food. So maybe they say burgers. Those are very easy to make healthy. Maybe they say steak. Great. So play upon the things that they truly like, because then if you get them to start eating those foods, then you can continue along the path with getting them maybe to use the other foods as well. The last one is, I use this for some people who have a very, very tough time with kids trying new things, is a goal chart or a nutrition chart. So it'll be like a competition, right? Either with their sibling or with someone in the family. Maybe you can join in, and you give them stars or points for the types of foods that they're choosing. So in this chart, it would be the easiest foods to get kids to eat, like potatoes are usually pretty easy, or carrots or something like that. That would get them like 1 star. Getting them to eat maybe something like blueberries or something maybe that they wouldn't typically choose, or you have a little bit of resistance against, give them 2 stars. And then something that is very challenging to get kids to eat. So that could be a picky eater. Let's say your child doesn't like vegetables. That could be any kind of vegetable. They get 3 points.
Anything
if they
green
eat.
or Brussels sprout.
You can make it your own. It's not hard at all, but I find that works great, because one, every kid likes a competition or a reward, or to be praised. And I think that this creates it in a healthy way, and you can put it up on the fridge. Everyone can participate, and it takes the thought out of perhaps the idea of the food and more so on the idea of the reward or of the competition.
Nice. Yeah, so we're going to head out to Kingsville for another nutrition question. And speaking of Kingsville, this episode of The Garage Gym is sponsored by Kingsville OGGs, Ian and Kara Murray with Desjardins Insurance. Their team is simply the best around. They are committed to making the community of Kingsville and their clients number one. And they have shown that time and time again as they support everything local, and they are constantly giving back and hiring from within that community. They have combined over 100 years of experience in their office, and they are a one-stop shop for everything you could need, from auto to home to finances and insurance-wise. So give their team a call or give them a shout on Instagram, which is probably the easiest, at Team Murray Insurance, and they will be sure to help you out. Let them know that Tango One sent you. Okay, so back to that Kingsville question. This is a good, because they're kind of all like really like balling into each other here. So Kathleen from Kingsville asks, Do you need to eat in a calorie surplus to build muscle?
So,
Corey, I can see you at home, like really turning up the radio here to see what Danny's gonna say and getting edgy.
Corey and I are on it. Like, we are on the same wavelength when it comes to food. It's funny when we do like videos with each other and we're both like giving each other the thumbs up. Or
Corey's at a level 10 though, and you're at a level 2.5.
Yeah, I'm like this, like,
So.
and he's like yelling and cheering in the background on mute. So,
all right, Kathleen, here you go. What do we got for Kathleen?
So when it comes to building muscle, what is your goal? I think that when you have, whether you're going to be at maintenance, whether you're going to be in a deficit, whether you're going to be in a surplus, those all lend to that goal. So if we are building, then being in a maintenance position or perhaps a surplus is going to be more helpful than if we're in a deficit. For various reasons. One being the fact that if you're going to be building muscle, you're going to need energy and fuel. So how are we going to incorporate that if we aren't eating enough? And for everyone, a deficit could mean a number of things. Most people don't really truly know what their maintenance level is or what a surplus to a deficit would be. So I think you would be very surprised. I feel like most people are technically almost always in a deficit when it comes to under-eating when they don't think that they are. So before you kind of get into the idea of like a surplus, a deficit, whatever, I would say to try to, one, in your workouts, make sure that you are being hyper-focused, lifting heavy weights, doing as much as you can to, in your mind, think what builds muscle in the gym. Number two would be what is going to fuel my body to build muscle. So being in a maintenance or surplus scenario is likely to be much more ideal for the magic to happen for your goals than would be taking in less calories than that.
Yeah, I think that's great. And speaking to Kathleen, speaking to you directly, and maybe some people here can relate. One, with the 6WT, we did prove, listen to the last episode, guys, if you haven't, or 2 episodes ago, the one with the Good Habits episode. We did prove that people kind of in Kathleen's body type were able to lose fat and build muscle. They gained. However, that might not necessarily be true, and I think that's what you're trying to outline is, yes, Dani had the meeting on a deficit, but to those people, it was actually more of a surplus because they don't usually eat the amount of food they should be eating, right, even on a deficit. So I hope that makes sense to you, Kathleen, and I know from watching you put the work in at the gym, you're right at that point where I think you can make some huge strides because you understand the lifts, you've taken the time to come and get extra help and to make sure that you're down with the lift and you do want to challenge yourself. So keep making that form, right? Keeping everything tight, lifting the proper load, the bracing we were working on, and then fuel those lifts and you will see the results that you want to see. And if that goal is building muscle, which I really think it is for you. So I'm super proud of all the work you've put in over the last year and a half, 2 years. So great job there. Let's get from nutrition. We've been hammering nutrition lately. What else we got here? We have a couple. You know what? Let's stay there for a second because I think this is a good one. Intermittent fasting, how it could work or should work for somebody on shift work. Also, what is the best way to eat healthy on nights? So a couple of shift work questions. One's coming in from Tony Weeb, and the other one again from Kiwi. See, Kiwi, this is why. Kiwi, you're not getting like 2 cups now, right?
He is.
Dani loves Kiwi. We all love Kiwi, I guess. But
give you as many cups as you want, Kieran.
Listen, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, anybody listening on here, you find it struggle to eat, work shifts, and then you can really see what it's like to live a shitty life. I mean, it is so hard to work shift work. I'm not saying everybody working shift work is living a shitty life, but it is challenging, and it brings challenges that I think people like. If I went back to working nights right now, I feel like I would die. Like, I don't know if I could handle it again. It's just that to me. And so intermittent fasting on shifts. I'm going to start with Tony's question a little bit. What's the best way to eat healthy? Honestly, when I was working shift work, I didn't worry about how much I ate. I just worried about eating when I was hungry and making sure that it was good foods. So I kind of like, that was my reward when I was on night shift. If I was hungry and it was midnight, I ate. If I was hungry and it was 10 a.m., I ate. It didn't matter to me like how many meals I had in that day, because the amount of hours you're awake, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not getting the rest to digest. I'm burning more calories. I'm awake. And from a mindset thing, it's about making yourself feel happy when everything else is pretty miserable, being tired and overworked. So that's the one question there. As far as intermittent fasting, I don't know the science behind it as much as Dani does. I know it can work on shift work because Marcella, who works with us, I should say, has she loves intermittent fasting, and she worked steady midnights and then went on to steady afternoons, and she's proof, and she's had great results from it. And I think with her, a lot of the success comes from the capping her food, right, at certain hours. But you want to hit on that anymore?
Intermittent fasting is something that you can try. It can give you a sense of control a little bit when it comes to working shifts, because sometimes you can feel a little bit out of control when you're not working steady shifts and have a steady routine. Intermittent fasting is great. Intermittent fasting is essentially just creating a window of when you're going to eat, and then creating a window of when you're not going to eat. So if you're someone who struggles to just get quality choices in, worry about quality choices. Don't worry about an eating window. Like Tony said, just focusing on making sure that you're eating is the most important thing. Okay. When it comes to maybe you're beyond that, maybe you are a good eater and maybe you do make quality choices, then perhaps an eating window would help, because then you can create a little bit more routine when you have such a chaotic schedule.
Yeah, so we don't want to stay a long time on that, guys. We don't necessarily believe in all the, the science, and not that we don't believe in the science behind intermittent fasting, but we just really believe, and I'm speaking for both of us here, that capping that food and making sure that you're basically limiting the amount of food you're going to take in by taking away some of your bad hours, which a lot of people struggle with eating at night. So a lot of our clients, and ourselves included, who have done intermittent fasting, get results because they just stop eating at night past 8 o'clock, right before they go and hit the hay, right, with like after having like a big meal. So that's where a lot of people are getting those results. So I would say, like, if that's your worry and you're on shift work, 100% I'm with Dani with that. Like, don't worry about what you're doing or what it's called. Do what makes you feel good in terms of good food, though. Don't do what feels good because it feels good. Sometimes when you're depressed, depressed is an exaggerated word, but you're feeling depressed because you're on nights, you're gloomy, it's dark, it's winter, and you just want those, like, I just want a Big Mac. Like, that's where you need to, like, settle yourself down and make sure that you're making the good choices for longevity in that career. The longer you're there, Casey just moving into fire, the longer you're there, it's going to be harder to continue to rely on your youthful metabolism. So if you don't make the good habits when you're young, like you are, Kiwi, then you're not going to have them when you're, in your 40s, 50s, still pushing that cruiser. So stay on it, man, because it's tough. It's no joke. All right. What do we got? Anything else?
Yeah.
We got time for a couple more.
There was one that I saw.
And this is where you see the difference between Dani and I. She's unlocking her phone, scrolling through slowly, and I am losing my temper as I watch this happen.
From Mike Smith.
Michael Smith, no relation.
Maybe.
Well, maybe, actually. We never met this guy. We do appreciate your follow, though, man, and we appreciate your question. So what is it?
What was a turning point in your career, I guess leaving your career? Was it a leap of faith or was it carefully planned?
Well, so definitely wasn't a leap of faith. But in many ways it was, and I guess it wasn't very carefully planned, but in many ways it was. So get more into that. So the turning point for me was just realizing, this is the absolute turning point, was, I was moved from SWAT. Many of you guys want to listen to the first episode, Becoming Tango 1. That's our most watched episode ever. If you want to listen to that one, you can get a real in-depth answer to this. But for me, the turning point was I was moved from SWAT as a result of a new rule of tenure. Like, basically they said you had been there long enough, you got to move. I was still one of the youngest guys on the team. I was one of the most experienced guys in the whole province. And I loved my job. That was my passion. My passion was being there. They moved me back into uniform. I did love being in uniform. However, I had already worked uniform for a very long time. and basically made came to in myself and came comfortable with myself to say, like, I have done everything here that I really wanted to do. There was nothing interested me. Like, I didn't want to work in homicide. I didn't want to work in drugs. I didn't want to become a sergeant. I had done everything I wanted to do. And for me, when that happens, I know and I know it even more. The older I get, the more comfortable I am with that I need to do something else. I need to find something that makes me passionate. I don't work without passion. I don't work without that fire. Just not for me. So that's what the turning point for us was. And then I absolutely knew the turning point. I broke my ankle and I was off for, I don't know what it was, 2 months, hobbling around here, running the gym, but I obviously couldn't work at the police department. Went back to the police department, and all I thought was, man, I liked doing that other job with a broken ankle better than I like it being here now. And so my purpose and passion for that place had gone. My purpose hadn't changed, but my passion for the platform that I was doing it at had changed. So I decided the gym was where I wanted to be. So the purpose stayed the same, helping people. And the passion came back when I changed the platform. Carefully planned, yeah, I mean, geez, there's a lot. We have a house, we had our kids, we have education to think about. We had a lot to think about. So yes, and Dani left her career too, don't forget, right? So yes, there was some careful planning. We went and met with people who are experts in those industries at financial planning, etc. We had plans with our properties that we had at the time and the properties we still have. And yeah, that in that terms, but we didn't spend a great deal of time on it, like worrying about how much. We just wanted to make sure those things were secured. And then, like, honestly, when we jumped into this gym, the gym was making no money. So it was a lot of leap of faith in the fact that we were confident that when Dani left, the gym shot up. And when I left, the same thing would happen, and it was true. We were confident in ourselves. And I don't know that that's leap of faith or if that's just, courage and confidence in yourself and your team and what you've built. So that's a long-winded question. But, yeah, I really suggest, guys, if you haven't ever listened to Tango 1, the first episode, go for it. And then the first episode with Dani, really her story about leaving the job, because she left there after 13 years and was the first to leave. And that was probably the bigger. That one was actually, it was more stressful, your first leaving, I think, than on us, than mine, just because it was just such a, once you did it, was like, oh, that wasn't so bad, right?
I broke the ice for you.
Yeah, absolutely. You broke the ice for our children, and I appreciate that very much.
I think we only have 2 questions left.
All right, let's hit it, man. So. We're still under an hour, I think. Let's go.
So from
focusing in here, yeah, there you go.
One of our 6 WT members, not this time, but last time, Barb McNamara. Homeschooling, why did you choose to do it, and any pros and cons? So,
you don't want to ask me? I thought that question was for me. I was like, oh my god, I don't know how I'm going to answer this.
Well, you can think while I talk.
Yeah, oh my god. I'm gonna go to the baseball game.
Or you can go first.
I'm gonna go to the baseball game while you talk. So let me know what. No, I mean, for me, it was ultimately like we make decisions together, but Dani and I kind of like we lean into our strengths, and Dani is the catalyst on this decision, and it was me to just say like, yeah, I trust in what you think is best, and I'm in if you're in. So and I really don't have to do that much about it except for enjoy the great parts of the kids being home. So I appreciate that. So yeah, go ahead, babe. Take that answer.
Yeah, I think that Tony and I always thought about homeschooling because we had ideas of traveling a lot, which we love to do, and thought that it would be very conducive to that lifestyle. And then, so the kids were going to a great school, great teachers, just a really wonderful school out here. But then COVID hit, and I was not interested in letting the kids go to school with first it started off with online, which I also wasn't interested in doing because our kids were very young, and to expect kids to sit at the table for that length of time, I did not think that was going to be helpful for the development of our children. So we decided that we were going to do, they offered paper packages, which was basically a big envelope of paper every 2 weeks, and you filled out these worksheets and returned them to the teacher. So that was kind of like the first taste of it, I suppose. I still felt that part of it was, and kudos to the teaching staff, because I can't imagine what that must have been like, getting all these papers in from like random families, because I got messages sometimes and the messager's like, Mrs. Smith, you forgot to include this, this, and this. And I'm like, no, that was not forgotten. We just did not get to it because of life. So once that kind of went through, COVID was still happening, and we decided, you know what, they're not going to go back to school. It's going to be just disruptive all the time, and they're going to be wearing masks. And for a number of reasons, I just didn't think that was appropriate for our primary age school
for our children, guys, for our children. And I think like that's an important thing. Like, make decisions what's best for you.
Yeah, I think that making the best, and that too, I want to encourage parents to think about that, and families to think about not just maybe doing what you should do or what everyone has always done. I think that doing everything to the best of your ability for the people you care about most is what's most important. So to me, that's what kind of led to, you know what, this is our chance, let's do it. So I reached out to, I have a cousin who is, I can't even explain what a amazing homeschool mom she is. She has 8 children, and her kids are just fantastic. And so she helped me so much with kind of finding a path. And I also have lots of friends and members who are teachers who help me out as well. So I think that the kids reap those benefits of learning, of maybe having a little bit less structure on some days, more structure on other days. Their PE teacher over here, Tony, is a shout out there, because he makes sure that they have more fun and more activity and get to think in different ways. So pros and cons, I would say, would be that my kids are home all the time, and I love that. I as soon as I basically had our first, I changed my whole lifestyle because I loved being a mom. So having them home was great. And I think that they are truly benefiting from being at home with us and us exposing them to different experiences. And then cons, I would say, would be that I wonder always, and we as parents, I think we always are concerned about, like, are they missing out on something? Are they I don't really care about the whole idea of being behind on things. But I think that I'm always concerned about the future and am I doing what's right for them for the future.
Good. Yeah, right. I couldn't agree more, and I'm glad that you're pumped about it all the time, and that's what makes me happy, is like seeing how happy everybody is at home. The only thing I'll add to that with the pros and the cons is that the pro of being home is, I was the guy getting the kids off the bus a lot of the times. That was kind of just how our schedules worked, and they would come off that bus exhausted, crabby, stressed. Like, you could just see it different in how they are. And I never I don't use the word never very often, but I never see that in our children anymore. Like, yeah, there's days they're tired, but I don't see that like stressed, like worried. Like, I remember telling them, like, wear this hoodie, and like he didn't want to wear the hoodie. Like, I think a lot at school, there's so many good things that happen at school, and there's so many great people that work in those schools. There's a lot of kids, a lot of kids in that school, and they can't be watched all the time. And my kids were bringing home, like, yeah, interaction with others is important. They had interaction with their friends all last night. They loved it. But when they go to school, I saw them, they were bringing the worst parts of other families home. I don't know. I spent a lot of time in other people's very broken homes. I don't want that shit in my house. Mm-hmm. And I don't want that here, and I don't want my kids to wear that burden. So that is a lot of it for me personally. That's where a lot of that decision came from. It wasn't about a lot of the other things. It was about, like, I know if they're well-adjusted, good human beings, regardless of what that freaking diploma or piece of paper says, they're going to be successful. And that's where it comes from for me. So last and certainly not least, what do we got?
So Megan Romaldi, she is asking about postpartum fitness and nutrition, and it's kind of a broad subject.
That's a massive subject. I know we've got a seminar coming soon. We're working on that with Elise out in Kingsville, Megan. So that might be one where a lot of your questions can be answered a little bit more in depth out there. But yeah, how are you going to answer that in a general thing? Good luck. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, I think that sometimes,
episode.
Whether you are pregnant or whether you're trying to conceive or whether you are post-baby, I think no one really knows what to do, and they don't know to what intensity they can do certain things. And I know that your body changes drastically during all of those times. So just, I guess, a broad answer for some fitness and nutrition is make sure that you are, again, fueling yourself. So don't just always feel like I have to lose the baby weight. You need to replenish your body. When your baby is inside of you, they are a parasite. They take all of your good things. They just take everything from you, and then it leaves your body very depleted. So it's super important in all stages of conception to having the baby is to make sure that you're making quality choices. So instead of worrying about quantities, for instance, I know that's probably something I was talking about with Nikki, because Nikki just had a baby 4 months ago, and we were talking about like what should her calories be. Why don't we just start, instead of thinking in a quantity sense, let's think of in a quality sense. So why don't you just make sure that you are making the best breakfast, the best lunch, and the best dinner you can, the best choices. So high quality meats, high quality, lots of vegetables, lots of healthy fats, and fill yourself up to the point where you feel satisfied and you're ready to eat, in a few hours later after that. That is, I think, the most important for you to replenish your body during, before, after. When it comes to fitness, start slow. So I remember doing P90X after the babies, one of them, I can't remember which one, and they were, Shanti's up there on the screen. No, that's the other one. Shanti, it was Shanti. I remember that.
Yeah, you like him. You like him more.
So he was up on the screen and they were doing like some kind of like ab movement, and I go to lay down and I had C-sections with both my kids, and I went to go do a sit-up and nothing happened. And I can remember feeling my stomach and it just felt like a bowl of jelly, and I thought, oh dear God, this is going to be a long path back to where I was before. So I think just being very open-minded and one step at a time, and just trying your best to do, again, quality movements. Make sure your form is proper. Make sure you're not just trying to, burn calories. It's not about all the quantities. It's about quality. So start slow, build upon that, and you will notice that you will bounce back a lot faster than if you start to kind of like grind those wheels a little bit too fast.
Yeah, and my only input that I would have on this is, and this goes to anybody who's looking to start, is like, if you're had a baby and you're cleared by the doctor for exercises, like, don't think that you gotta wait. And this goes for the people who just want to get into the gym and get into shape. Don't think that you gotta wait, or like, I hate the answer, like, I'm just gonna go get more fit. I'm not ready for this gym. I gotta work out so I can go to the, like, no, like, come to a place. It doesn't even have to be this place, but a place like ours where people care about you and are educated on how they can help you to get to your goal. Don't wait and try to do it to yourself. So, people like Megan, who are in great shape prior to the baby, and I'm sure will be in great shape very soon if she's not already, like, don't wait. Just come in. We got people who can help you, and so do there's so many great gyms in the city that can do the same for you. And for those of you coming off the couch or from, absent for 15 years, don't try to get in shape before you come in. Come in, bite the bullet. We're here to help you, and so many other trainers in the city can help you do the same thing. Don't wait on it. Okay, last question comes from anonymous. What are the best shorts on the market when it comes to fitness? That's a simple answer.
That's a dad joke.
But that's a simple answer. Guys, 10,000 clothing, they're now in Canada. They're delivering to Canada. They have by far the best stuff. No bullshit, no gimmicks. I mean, this is not stuff that's made for ladies that, by a ladies fitness place or a fitness apparel place made for ladies that's now kind of trying to get the man's market. This is stuff that's made, tested by men, for men, and they understand everything we're trying to do and all the things that we got to hold together when we're squatting, when we're benching. 10,000, go there, use my code TANGO15 to save yourself on your first time buyers. If you're not a first time buyer, just find another email of somebody who might be. Okay, and Dani, what would be the best shorts? Like, what do we got? Recommend these, because I know it's gonna be the ladies that are listening to this that are actually gonna buy them for the dudes. What do you think?
I don't know. I fold your clothes every day, and I feel like all the shorts are very nice. So I don't know the names of them. I know there's an interval short. So let's go with that one.
I mean, I put my shorts through hell, and you know how many pairs, like they're in the wash. I don't have that many pairs of them. Like, they're in the wash constantly.
Stay really nice quality for sure.
Yeah, and you feel super confident in them. They're the ones to go. Their shirts. I wore the tack pants out from on a hike up the cliffs on the side of the Niagara Escarpment, and then went to a winery, and they look just like a nice pair of like Lulu dress pants. I mean, but they're made to get the shit done. So definitely recommend those guys. Thank you, Dani, for coming on again. Thank you guys for all the questions. If you don't hear from me in the next bit, please shoot me a message. You know what? Double up if you're going to get even faster, these cups do even faster if you take the time to subscribe to this podcast. Please share this episode too, and say that your name was on there. That's the kind of stuff that helps us to build this platform, and we think this is one of the best podcasts around. I'm super grateful to all of you that listen, everybody submitted, and for everybody who's ever been a guest on this show. Don't forget, if you need some help with your marketing or video editing, things like this, Irvin is always here. You can shoot us a message at IB Marketing. You can hit me up and I can set you up with him, or you can look in the show notes and you can find it there. So everybody have a great week. Dominate, and we'll see you soon.
Now's the time to do more and be more.